Today, we were all shocked to hear and see Brian Kohberger pleading guilty to the savage murders of 4 innocent, beautiful college students in Ohio. Don't we all ask the same question? How is it possible for a young man who was studying criminology to have been able to murder 4 beautiful, innocent college students? How do we wrap our brains around it? How do we make any sense of it? And here in the courtroom, just says, yes, guilty, owns up to all of it. Well, to me personally, this is very up close and personal. I survived a mass shooting, also by a young 19-year-old white supremacist American who breached our synagogue on April 27, 2019. He came with the AR-15 with the intent to kill as many Jewish people as possible. He had enough ammunition to kill all 55 of us that were there that morning. He entered our lobby, shot and killed Mrs. Lori Lynn Gilbert Kay right in front of my eyes as I was talking to her. He then aimed his AR-15 at me to kill me. But I heard children who were playing behind me. And as I turned to bring the children to safety, he shot 4 high-velocity bullets right at me. He blew off this finger, totally mangled this finger. Miraculously, I survived. But here I am 6 years later, still trying to wrap my brains around what possibly can motivate a young American boy to do this type of a carnage. For 3 years, he kept the world as if he was innocent, that he didn't do it. And yet today he pled guilty to killing, murdering those 4 human beings. How do we wrap our brain around it? How do we deal with it? We cannot change what happened, but we can change how we react. Everything that comes to our attention in life happens for a purpose and a reason for us to do something about it. We, as the human race, are responsible for each other. We are here on this world on a very short time, from birth to death. It's a mystery to all of us. We don't know how long our life is going to be. But during this journey, we have been given a mandate by God that our journey is about life. Our journey is about making this world a dwelling place for godliness. Our journey is to be an ambassador for good. Our journey on this world is to be able to perfect ourselves. The day you and I were born, God said the world can no longer exist without you. Which means every single one of us has a plan and mission on this world. When this murderer, Brian Kohberger, was born, he too had a purpose in life. He too had a journey. And it was not about killing 4 innocent college students, but that he chose to do that. I remember when President Ronald Reagan had an attempted assassination, and he was shot, almost lost his life. And it was a talk that my Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the Grand Chabad Rabbi, gave a talk afterwards. He was the world Jewish leading rabbi at the time. And he said as follows: children at a very young age needs to be spoken to, educated, exposed, and given an opportunity to learn about God in heaven, to learn that there is a God that exists. In the American public school system, we took everything about God out. There's no prayer, there's no mention of God. But yet, the founding fathers of our country, in God we trust, as it's imprinted on the dollar bills. But living a godless life and having a godless education does not give children, students, an opportunity to know of an alternative to just existing, but rather for a purpose. And the Rabbi introduced the concept of a moment of silence. That every public school should begin the day with a moment of silence. How wonderful would it be if all the children are in an assembly and the principal now announces we will have a moment of silence. That moment of silence could be so impactful on the child's life. It could truly set them on a trajectory for the rest of their life to a very different destination. The concept is that when a child is told that we are now going to have a moment of silence, the child is going to come home and says, "Mommy, Daddy, why is there a moment of silence?" It is at that moment that Mommy and Daddy explains to the child, this is a moment for you. This is a moment for you to think about who you are, why are you here in this world, who brought you to this world, and what is your journey in this world, and to introduce God to your children. At the end of the day, mother and father cannot create a child without God's blessing. God gives the child the soul. Mother and father does what it has to do physically, but the baby does not breathe a heartbeat without a soul. And a soul is part of God. When a child is taught that God is part of him, that he has a part of God in him, and that God, the omnipotent, the omnipresent, is always listening to him, that God is watching him, knows his actions, and knows his thoughts, that the child would know that he's never or she is never alone in this world, but they always have someone to turn to who would listen to them. Children, when brought up with God in their life, will understand that there's accountability for their actions, that they are not living in this world alone, but they are part of a greater universe, and they are an integral part of the world, that we are counting on them, counting them to do good and to live and to create life into this world and to make living much more meaningful, purposeful, and pleasantful for all. At the end of the day, that is what children need to have. They need to have a spiritual dimension to their life. Otherwise, children will grow up aimless, godless, without any spirituality, and continuously wondering, why am I here? What is this all about? What's my journey all about? Why not give your children a gift of life by introducing God to them? So today was a very difficult day for me. Watching this murderer plead guilty, it reminded me of the murderer who breached our synagogue on April 27, 2019 at rgpoway, who shot and murdered Lori Lynn Gilbert K. right in front of my eyes, and then injured me forever, physically, emotionally, and he too pled guilty. What does that really mean? It means nothing. Obviously, they have chosen to live a godless life. They have chosen to live a life without accountability. They have chosen a life that did not value other lives to commit such hideous murders. But we need to learn a lesson from this. And the takeaway is, let's stop the next shooter. Let's stop the next murder, the next killer. Let us introduce God into our school system with minimally, at least with a moment of silence. And parents, don't be afraid to talk to your children about God. Even though you may have not grown up in a home where God was present or spoken of, now's the time to begin. We're living in a society in a world that children are looking for a purpose in life and need a purpose in life. And perhaps this is our takeaway. This is the best memory we can do for the 4 victims who lost their lives that terrible evening. And in their memories, we're going to do whatever we can to bring up another generation of children who would understand God and know that God is watching over them and they have to be accountable for all their actions. May God bring complete healing, condolences to all their extended family and friends. Let this chapter be a chapter that will be put behind them, but be able to move forward in fostering and making this world a better place for all humanity. God bless you. God loves you.